It's our first stop at Elimination Station, and we're so excited to be bringing this next match. XSET versus Misfits Black. Buck, I gotta get your reaction to the results that we've had so far. The quarterfinal was pretty one-sided. What's the graphic comes up? A lot of 2-0s.
Yeah, very much a bloodbath in the opening round here for the quarterfinals. While we expected that to some degree, with favorites like V1 and Shopify Rebellion very likely to make a run through the upper bracket until they run into each other, the other games were definitely not going the way we expected. Complexity and Moist Moguls, that one we thought would be a 3-map series. That doesn't happen. And then EG versus Misfits, I thought for sure that was the closest game of the day, because at least looking at the first one, we could say, okay, they're repeating map pool. Maybe there's a chance that you get a 2-0. But that second series, obviously we didn't get to see it on the mainstream. It felt like that game should have been so much closer than it actually was, but EG kind of slaughtered Misfits.
Yeah, I think slaughter was the word I was about to use. I mean, yeah, we thought those might go to 3 maps, but they didn't, and it was just absolute domination from both EG and Complexity, and that doesn't leave you feeling very good going into an elimination match.
Well, Sapphire, zooming in on this match that we're about to see, XSET versus Misfits Black. We've seen them on stream once before. And one thing we really loved to highlight at that time was the role change for Katsumi, who comes from Cloud9 White, now playing a lot more duelist.
Yeah, Katsumi for me is synonymous with Omen, synonymous with Smokes. So to see Katsumi doing this often a double duelist comp, now playing on Jet, that's a huge role change. So if you haven't watched Game Changers or any of the Open Qualifiers since last year, that's going to be a big surprise to you. But a refreshing one because we know this is one of the top players in North America. So to put her on an agent where she can make that space and go in and take entries, it's certainly an exciting change.
That was something I was basically going to touch upon, is like that desire to now be the playmaker instead of watching somebody else be that playmaker, maybe, take a more of a front seat to the action. And a lot of players want to step into that role, but don't always have the ability to, because somebody else on their team has that role and they already have it locked in. They're maybe one of the best players in the region at that job, which is what we basically saw previously from that Cloud9 White roster. So now Katsumi has a little bit more freedom and flexibility to maybe play the game the way she's always wanted to, and no one's holding her back. So it's exciting to see players step into these new responsibilities and maintain form or even excel to a higher level.
Well, although Katsumi is popping off on the duelist, she got a bestie by her side. She's playing so well alongside Bob, of course, her former teammate from Cloud9 White, and Bob brings so much of that flexibility.
Yeah, if you look here, these are the stats for Bob on just how many agent roles Bob is facilitating. So Bob plays Sova as a main, but then also comes in as Harbor, will come in as Viper, will come in as Gecko, will come in as Cypher, will come in as Sky, will come in as Breach. I mean, the roles are insane. How many players do you know that can facilitate playing that many roles? This is just in a 30-day period. This is not all time. This is not the last 3 months. This is 30 days in official matches. Bob's playing all of these roles. That's absurd.
I feel like every time there's a new agent coming out, we can always rely on Bob to test it out. They play with just so much confidence. They play the game for themselves. It's just like they know that they're better than everyone else. They're walking in the server thinking, I'm the best player here. Doesn't matter what abilities, utilities that I have, I'm going to out-aim and outplay them. So always exciting to see Bob flex something new. Certainly hope we see some Gecko today, but we know that Sova is tried and true.
I know XSET is looking like one of those top rosters to keep your eyes on, but their opponent is going to be a tough challenge. Bach, Misfits on the other side. He spoke about just having big shoes to fill when it's Katsumi on the duelist, but what about Edith filling shoes for Fluorescent?
Yeah, if you just look at even this Game Changers as an example of what Fluorescent brings to the table, one of the top ranked players just in this version or in this opening series of Game Changers, that was the player that Edith has come in to fill. And if you look at the statistics here, you can see what Edith was capable of doing coming into today on the left-hand side. So that's the stats from the qualifier stages. Pretty good numbers to be respectful of. But then on the flip side, on the right, that's the stats from the opening series. Now, let's be fair. This team won 8 combined rounds across 2 maps. It was a brutal showing against EG. They started on Split before they went to Haven, and I think they were kind of mentally boomed after that first map. But this is a difficult role to jump into as a young player. I'm pretty sure Edith is only 17 years old. So it's a hard role to jump into and then get kind of beat down in your opening series. The question is pressure getting to them as a player? And will the pressure of being in an elimination match be too much to bear?
Yeah, this is a lot of pressure on this young player. The last time we saw Misfits in a Game Changers, that was Series 3 at the end of last year, the team finished third. The team skyrocketed throughout the year, and now we see them, knocked down to the lower bracket in this first round. So a lot of pressure on this player, but fortunately they're surrounded with a number of veterans and players like Vernina and Slandy that have been there before.
And Sapphire, I mean, this is one of the few teams, speaking about Misfits, that have kept this court for so long. So besides Edith filling the shoes, is there just the sky's the limit when it comes to Misfits? Should we just expect them to continue to be at the top, or how much are we missing out with Fluorescent?
When we look at kind of, I guess you'd call them maybe these like B tier, C tier events that happen in the off season, Misfits has consistently either won those events or been in the grand finals. So we know they have the skills, but usually those events don't have the likes of a version 1, the likes of a Shopify Rebellion, that don't necessarily play in maybe the smaller events. They're mostly spending time in co-ed events. So, it's going to be interesting because I wouldn't put them as, they're not going to be the first favorite or the second favorite. They're maybe not even in there for third right now because they just got destroyed by EG. So this is a little different for them, something they haven't experienced in the last couple months after picking a bunch of trophies in the off season.
Well, I'm excited to see the map selection. Here it is on your screen. XSET choosing Ascent, and I guess also Split. I think it's
double pick. It's the ultimate play. It's the ultimate play.
I believe Misfits did pick Split, but what is your initial reaction, Bob?
I'm surprised that Split is in here. Both teams played it in their opening series, and neither one looked particularly strong on the map. XSET lost 13-7. Misfits lost 13-3. Obviously, you could argue that one was a little bit worse than the other, but I don't think either team is proud of their performance to open up their Game Changers run here on Split. So that one is a little bit shocking. Ascent making it through, I feel like Ascent is one of the most common ground maps currently in the pool. A lot of teams feel comfortable on it. They might not necessarily love the map, but they're more willing to play that than a map like Pearl, a map like Lotus, a map like Fracture, or honestly, a map like Icebox. A lot of teams really don't want to play Icebox. So the fact that we get Ascent and Split as the starter is obviously somewhat standard outside of that previous performance on Split.
Yeah, as a former player, my thought here is that Misfits went into this day saying they've got a plan. They've got a plan for Split. It certainly didn't pay off against EG, but there's not that much time. When you have to play back-to-back best of threes, you need to be prepared for that second series, no matter how it falls. And it seems like they're confident in the plan that they had going into us today, and they just made some mistakes. So they're going to have to fix those quickly. The benefit is that XSET likely does not have any time to go back and try to watch that VOD and see how to counter that. So I think Misfits just banking on their preparation to take them over the line and Split.
And we're waiting for the agent select from the teams, but I guess we can just get the gears going, Bach, of what we may expect to see. Last time we saw Misfits on Ascent, it was the double initiator behind the KO and the Sova, whilst on XSET side of things, they prefer the double controller. What do you think about that?
Expect a lot of variation in the compositions. This is kind of what we saw in our opening series. You'll see double duelists sometimes brought in, whereas Misfits seems to play a little bit more of a slow and methodical style. They're going to be, it's honestly very similar to what we saw in our first match here on broadcast, where one team comes in with a strategy or a style that kind of favors explosiveness. Expect to see players trying to get in fast, break timings, that kind of thing. Whereas Misfits going to be the ones that try to slow the game down. They're going to be the ones that want to control the pace of play as much as possible, use their utility to prevent teams from really gaining any semblance of map control, and also setting themselves up excellently in the post plant. The question is whether or not they're going to be able to get past that first layer of defense when it comes to the attacking side, whether they can break onto sites because of the fact that they might be lacking in areas of utility that the other team is going to have when it comes to their attacking front. So we'll see what these teams are going to do. Very different fundamental approaches at times. Depending on the compositions they decide to bring to the table, we'll see which one's going to walk out away with a win.
Or at least Sapphire right off the bat. Katsumi on the Jet. I'm wondering if Edith is going to match that. But so far, KO, Killjoy, Omen. Yeah, pretty standard.
Yeah, we got a nice little mirror comp here. You don't see me now, but as soon as I saw that Jet from Katsumi, I was smiling because it's not what we're used to. We're used to seeing that Omen, but can't wait to see this veteran bring that exciting gameplay to this map.
I'm excited. I know those are big shoes to fill, a lot of pressure, and even these former Cloud9 white players. They're kind of the same thing we said about Jazzykins and her roster to kind of get back to that former glory and what is that whiplash effect kind of adjusting to a new team. But we'll be adjusting to game number 1. We're in the lower bracket. It's Elimination Station. I couldn't think of 2 better casters to bring us through it. So let's check in with Evil Cat and Wyatt.
Thanks very much, Lemon. Yeah, very excited to hop into this one because this is an elimination match with a lot of questions. For the side of Misfits, this is them kind of trying to reset their odds. Ever since losing Fluorescent, it has been 6 months since they have found a single win versus a signed team. And for the side of XSET, they have some veterans who have only ever won in Game Changers, now facing this elimination game.
Yeah, I mean, literally only ever won in Game Changers NA for the region. Katsumi and Bob have never lost before, always first place, and now facing elimination. So we'll have to see if they can actually rally back here. I think this XSET team has so much potential. They've looked so strong, not only in Game Changers, but in some of the other qualifiers for the main circuit, and I'm really expecting big things for them.
Yeah.
I want to see them bring it in this game, and like you said, for Misfits, trying to live up to the success that they had later last year.
Well, here we go. Starts off with some pressure towards B main from the side of Misfits as XSET is holding back, expecting some aggression from their opponents, and they might actually get it here outside of B main. Players on one side spot out Panday, and her teammate's a little slow to trade, but Katsumi does find the opportunity, and we reset 4 versus 4.
Yeah, it looked like XSET, honestly, expecting that play. Just that silent contact walk from the Misfit side and B main, and they were set up for it. Meanwhile, a silent contact walk on the offensive side of their own. They're just slowly creeping in A main here, trying to see if a defender might peek one of these angles. Turret is smoked off. Little do they know, Slandy is about to flash this, and they're going to swing from heaven. Oh my god. 2 crosshairs aimed right for those swinging players, and Rise able to clean them up with a classic.
We wanted to swing for the information before utilizing the flash, and that goes back to bite Misfits. Now only 2 players left alive to try and make this retake happen. Kelly does have Util though. Chocolate coming in. If that lands towards default, it could find a kill, and down goes Bunny Bee. That's a start towards evening these odds, and with a dart and a smoke coming back on recharge momentarily, there's a chance at this one for Nina. Starting to swing out, but it's a triple setup. XSET ready to swing off each other towards Hell, and the HP already so incredibly low. Information from Carly instantly broken. They jump on out and instantly shut down. Strong setup by XSET to grab their pistol.
Yeah, Misfits really doing the only thing they could there. I like that silent walkout. The recon was that one piece of utility that may have been able to swing things around, but the perfect setup from XSET. Such a strange pistol round, though. Mostly quiet, mostly players just walking around. Not a lot of utility used at all, and immediately, it just looked like XSET had some kind of early read on Misfits. I'm not sure if that's a play they typically go for, but it seems like something they may have reviewed in a VOD.
Yeah, both these teams have played a lot of Ascent throughout their runs in the Open Qualifier, so wouldn't be surprised if we did see some of those reads coming through. On the Zeke around XSET, again, just putting their priority on containing space, holding on to their default in this one. And I think a lot of this more structured, slower style will come back to the experience that we've been talking about with this roster. You have a 7-time champion in Game Changers in Katsumi, and you have Bob, who was there along with her for so much of those runs with Cloud9 White.
Yeah, and on that opposing side, it was late last year that Misfits, it seemed like they had a chance to finally take one of those wins away from Katsumi and Bob, with Fluorescent, just the upcoming mechanical star, being such an impactful pickup. And you can only imagine the weight on the shoulders of Edith, the new duelist for the team, to try and just fill those enormous shoes that Floor left behind. Just such a tough task.
And you can see in that round, it is clean out of XSET. They feel out the aggression from one side. managed to shut it down and late hit towards B. But this is where things get started for the side of Misfits. On the pistol round, we saw an attempt at aggression. I wonder, do they continue to try and fight for space with Edith on one of these extremities? Or are they going to play a little slower, lean into the retakes? What is their idea for the defensive side of the center?
Well, it looked like straight off the jump, they're going to go for the classic kind of Sova setup with the Odin here on the B site. Killjoy in tandem with a bit of a setup there, Alarmbot to watch mid. Something we've seen a million times with these two Ascent comps that we've got here. I mean, this is just such a standard for this map that at this point, Ascent always just comes down to really such fundamental play. There's never any, you know, really unique strategy in regard to utility or agent composition that comes out on this map at this point. It just comes down to experience, to teamwork, and yeah, to just those fundamentals, and sometimes just who can win out the aim duels when both teams have the rest of it in spades.
Yeah. And the desk was highlighting Bob's flexibility. She's played something like 9 agents in the last 30 days, but this is her fundamental role, playing on the Sova. So many games we saw her with Cloud9 White, or even back in her career in the mix scene with Sonics, playing on this Sova and dropping massive games. She's already started strong on these anti-ecos, but I'm going to continue to be watching her throughout this map, see how that performance continues. Is XSET just sticking to this default? They have a lot of space in mid here, Wyatt.
Yeah, it was late into this round that they actually started pressuring for space. Again, these silent rounds, really only a drone used, and look at the space that they've gotten with Misfits playing so passive. They're aware of it too. I mean, Slandy was watching for this, and look at this crazy pinch that we're getting onto A now. This 3-pronged sight execute. Katsumi now working up grass to support those spawn flanking players. We're down to the 3v3, and the plant's coming in on site, but they don't realize the KDO. Still back here. Back site with 2 now. Spike going down all on Bob, and we've seen miracles from Bob in situations like these in the past.
Party
just
wounded.
never count them out. Yeah. A nice attempt, but Katie just so good anchoring back site there.
Yeah, a good attempt, and I love the idea there at the end from XSET. You get your space in the mid-round, try and make a split happen, but it almost feels like they overdid it a little bit. Didn't give them enough time to fully clear out onto that site, so you have that classic situation where you're panicking to get the plant down, and there's one anchor that you didn't end up clearing. Still, for a bonus round, that's a solid position for them to be in. Their ult economy is blooming here, already getting that Hunter's Fury for Bob, which gives them a lot of options into this round.
Yeah, they could use that Hunter's Fury, try and go for a big execute, and it looks like that might be exactly what they have in store here. Panday left in B main for that late lurk, going to come through mid if the A execute does come through. Hunter's Fury potentially going to go through grass here. We'll have to see as the recon is used to clear out main.
I think that was a dart as well as the flash to clear towards mid and get that operator posted on the line. The first one of the game here for Edith, but she's initially in the wrong position. As you pointed out, this is just going to be a faster hit towards A. You see the Paranoia queued up, an ultimate ready to go with this one. That's why Bob is playing so far back to try and punish these players in the tree room. Speed is through. Owen will do good damage, but here comes that Hunter's Fury. Already one scan and a conversion out of Bob. Katie is low, but the second shot will not connect. So a player up situation for XSET, but Slandy's nade takes out Baby at the last second. Now there's kind of a pressure on Katsumi to try and make a play here, to try and contain. She has a drone coming from Bob to try and support. And that might give her the opportunity. Another tap on that spike. A dart to reply. They just want to fight, but Misfits is not giving anything away here.
Yeah, Misfits taking this a bit cautiously. This flank is about to come in through Catwalk, though. Are they going to be watching this? Are they aware that Panday could be going for this play? The turret up might get that first contact, might save them, but actually it is Nina holding that angle right now. Really good smoke goes down on door, and actually Edith, off kill on the retake. That's so important. It's so hard to retake with the op, and it's actually going to work out. Panday just couldn't find the timing for Nina aware, had the utility ready, and now she's going to be forced to swing off this, and there's no way that she'll ever be able to survive peeking out of that smoke. A really nice retake from Misfits, and so difficult for Edith to find value with an off on a retake, but manages to do so.
Yeah, the discipline for Misfits there is showing. The two players that are new to this roster have only recently joined with Edith and Carly, but the core has been together for quite a while. We were talking 6 months back, playing with Fluorescent, making it to lower bracket finals. It's been the same core, and it's been Slandy and Vernina since the very beginning, adding the leadership to the roster and helping to make those pivotal calls. That will reset XSET onto an eco round here.
Yeah, and sometimes that operator can just take over a map on a match on Ascent rather. Odin spam coming through. Looks like it could have dealt a lot more damage than it actually ended up doing. Bunnyby a bit weak on this fast B play here from the attacker. Oh my god, what an opening actually. Edith going down. And there might be some serious pressure on these backside players.
Yeah. Bernina, flash off the line. Bunnyby, another with the Sheriff, and Cats found one as well. That was the only hero rifle going in, but it's the Sheriff's providing values. Misfits locked out of this one. 2 players left alive, only a couple thousand credits left in the bank. At this point, it might already be a save in the 2 versus 5.
Yeah, that is just brutal for Misfits. Invested into the round. The op was looking good for Edith. That is, you know, an opportunity to start rolling some rounds together, get the economy actually booming. And yeah, like you mentioned now, going to be in a bit of tough shape heading into this next one. But man, with 3 players stacked on the site there and just losing to Sheriffs, that is absolutely brutal.
And that round is just credit to Bunnyby. We'll put a lot of highlight on the kind of new star Jet of Katsumi coming into the fray. But wait a second, we've got to talk about Katie. Still in this one. It was a save to begin with, but 3 kills. You're pretty happy about that one, I'd say.
I mean, Slandy just set them up and then knocked it down. That flash hit everybody. That was the best KO flash possibly of all time. I've never seen a KO flash blind 5 people.
Too bad it doesn't win him a round. It's just doing a little damage on people who can buy next round regardless. Still, that's something to get your confidence rolling for KDO. But back to the round at hand. We're into Rifle v Rifle, and we get the setup of this operator duel. Because Katsumi, this is a new role for her. Always that smokes player, the anchor on Cloud9 White. And now the star here on XSET, there's a lot of eyes on her.
Yeah, across the map early on there, Bob sent the recon into A main, something they had done previously. We're getting caught out. Oh, I don't know about that. A little confident, perhaps egotistical from Bob to be taking a duel that deep down mid, getting punished for it by Edith. The trade back, though, won't make it so bad as KDO goes down.
Yeah, tough positioning from Katie. She wanted to try and take advantage of the chaos that was created by the attempt to trade onto her Opera in mid, but it only ends up with this position looking solid for XSET. Minute left on the clock, control in mid, and a really pivotal player for late rounds down. There's not going to be any smokes for Misfits if they have to play a retake.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be stuck committing to this B split, and this fight in main is going to be so crucial. Katsumi find the shot. Oh, it is getting so scrappy as Nina with the judge is able to take her down. And now with control of B main, this is going to be really, really tough for XSET here. Things are slowing down, and I like this. They are trying to re-clear it. They are trying to bring down Nina before they actually go to the plant, but I like how Nina played that as well. She just played it passive. Yeah. She knew that she just needed to stay alive and then take B main after the fact.
Again, it's the patience in these retakes from Misfits. Not jumping the gun, not rushing this one. Rise receiving a lot of spam, but will not fall. She holds position on site. And with that knife in the corner, they know that Panday is close. Can she get anything done through the KO molly? No, that operator seems to be cursed. Not a single shot connecting off of it. And time now becomes a bigger factor. Edith might swing through, but she will find a connection. Rifle recovered and main secured. It's only the players on the site for the side of XSET. Bunnyby an attempt on a play. She's traded 1-for-1, and it's Rise scanned and spammed. Another round as Misfits equalize.
Yeah, really well done from Edith there. Crucial pick with the op. Just finding a nice little timing with that silent walk. Bit of the flank there. Edith really stepping up right now, and like we mentioned previously, massive shoes to fill for them. Replacing Fluorescent on this team, and frankly struggling in the last game a bit as well. But starting to turn things around, and they might just be the pivotal player to actually bring a win for Misfits here on Ascent.
Yeah. It was actually Gen G back in that Game Changers where Misfits got to the lower bracket, who ended up losing to this squad, now playing for that team that she's played against before and trying to find something a little bit more here. Is this going to be a faster take towards A main? Do they convert this into a fast hit? Seems to be the plan. Cat ready on this dash, but Misfits is again set up for one of these retakes. Maybe they try and take a fight off the spam. They do find one onto Bunnyby, but this just sets up another strong retake. KDO doesn't need to make a play. She just needs to spam because her teammates are coming in to support from high. No one covering this for XSET, and it's just an execution on site. Flawless round in that retake. Spike didn't even get tapped as it's just an obliteration on the execution.
Okay, I love how Misfits are playing this A-site defense. They just have this cheeky setup in grass, where when the site hit is actually coming in, they begin to close the door, and then as it's closing, Carly just starts spamming with the Odin to get a kill. Almost got one on a previous round as well. But then you can just see how fast the other defenders are, getting in through Catwalk, supporting those grass players, setting up a crossfire, and all of those players in sight just caught between two tough angles.
It's another go at this fast A-take though. This time it's on an eco for the side of XSET, but it's still going to be Cat trying to lead the charge. Slandy alone on the site. You can see support is inbound. Roman in a position to try and help out. She needs to stay alive for a stretch of time. From Heaven, it's Carly inbound, and Wyatt, you just brought it up, but the support from this Misfits squad is instantaneous. 5 seconds after an execute begins, someone is there to back up the anchor.
Yeah, XSET, they're going to have to hit the drawing board on these A hits. I know this was just an eco, so they just want to send it and see if they can make some magic happen, maybe catch them off guard with the back-to-back. Surely they don't go A fast, 2 rounds in a row, right? That type of idea. Rise is going to go down at the very end there. A lot of weaponry saved for the defensive side as well. Economy actually starting to boom for them now.
Yeah, that it is. The ultimate's coming online pretty quickly as well. I'd like to see XSET move back to some of these slower rounds where they were playing into that default. They were very successful at getting space in mid and giving themselves options. They just need to make sure they don't let that clock become their enemy. There was 2 rounds where they left it down to 20 seconds on these last-minute executes that ended up working against them. But it does seem like they are returning to this setup where they're taking space in mid.
Yeah, again, Edith with this aggressive oppositioning down mid, dash activated. Little jump peek from Bunny Bee, trying to get the info. Not sure if Edith had been spotted there. I don't think so, because they are risking it all with these jump peeks. Edith finds the pick, smoked down, but can they get away? At least going to reposition for now. Hold that angle in mid still. Nina helping out from the opposite side.
Really good support to break those doors, to give Edith that opportunity. They'll always be primed to take it. Bob is actually stuck in the corner here, and if Edith is patient enough, he could find another opportunity, but not actually aware of that position, and neither is Slandy. She's just backing her way into Rise, and, well, thankfully there's a trade there in time. It gets a little bit awkward in A main.
Yeah, and things now slowing down as XSET are trying to work their way up Catwalk here. And they left lurking down mid. Omen TP actually going to come through for a bit of a repositioning from KDO. As XSET still just ever quiet walking into this site. We'll see if they end up going for the plant. And they're probably going to be the crucial player here when they do. It's really up to them to find a pick here on this flank.
They should be aware of Panday, though. She's done this multiple rounds now. Good late flanks through Catwalk. Off these A hits. Start up. Cat is considering a fight off of that, but doesn't commit to it. Hunter's Fury coming in, but it will be too late to shut down that plant. Damage is dealt onto Bob. Now what can Panday do? She's starting to work her way forward, find space in tree room, but she actually might get re-wrapped here. A second flank coming back in, but Bob in position to support. Renita could be in trouble. How well does she clear this angle? How ready is she? Not at all. Down she goes. Edith diving back into the site. Her teammates being traded out around her. But now a solid position here. However, look at the flip of the map. The attacker Killjoy going down the way a defender normally would, and the spike attempting to be stuck, but Bob there in time with the shock darts. And XSET, a fantastically recovered round there where they slow things down.
Yeah, I love that ad-lib call at the end there. That was so good. Bob actually rotating in to double up with Panday and Grass was a super heads-up decision. From there, able to play a little back-to-back setup. Panday only having to watch that one angle now on Catwalk, allowing them to get that kill with ease, and then Bob just playing indoor, you know, covering their back. That was really smart. Last time, though, they struggled taking mid against this off because they didn't actually drone early with Bob playing on Cat. So I think they're kind of missing a beat here on mid. I'd like to see them make that adaptation going forward.
This time, they won't have that operator to worry about and get information on Cat. They're actually just off of Katsumi's updraft right at the start of the round. So I think generally they're doing that updraft to clear Catwalk and then KO knife to clear close mid. So they have some interesting util patterns to take this space beyond just that Sova drone, which allows Bob to use it over towards A instead, which will spot that operator out. A big piece of info here.
Yeah, so early on, Bob and Rise just pressuring towards A main. They've got the spike over there, so you have to imagine XSET want to make some noise in mid and then rotate back to Cat to maybe go into this A split. Edith actually going to find a crucial pick, though, down mid. And wow, XSET, they just want to commit to this spawn fight. And Carly gets caught out. A little bit of a mistimed piece of spam there gives the positioning away.
And while all that's going on, Bunnybee is wrapping around too. This is a pinch onto KDO. A 1 versus 1 against that KO. She's trying to let her opera get into position, but she doesn't need the 8. Spins around for 2, and Katie closes it with 3. Fantastic anchoring out of the young Omen.
Yeah, KDO has been just lethal with that Phantom at various points throughout this game already. Misfits with the 6 on the board, but you have to question as well, Mimi, with this, with just how Ascent has trended, you know, these past 6 months.
Yeah.
It's become such a defender-sided map. We've seen so many games where the defense is able to make massive comebacks. Is 4 already enough for XSET? It's possible.
It is possible, but you definitely want more, and I think getting a handle on these mid-rounds is going to be one of the big ideas around that. You see a setup here, that's the dart and the flash coming through to allow Carly to get some damage. Slandy swings off of it as well. Just a really cool preset play from Misfits that works wonders. XSET already practically locked out of this round. Only 3 players left and no map control to speak of.
Yeah, a pretty funny setup for Misfits. I do really like how many unique looks they have with this Odin. Typically, you know, you would just see the Sova spamming through the B wall, but they have all these unique plays. And that one almost looked like it was going to be the jet dash down mid play with the KO flash coming early. But no, it's actually just Odin spam on Catwalk to deal massive damage to those eco players.
One enemy remaining.
Panthers gotten out and was looking to find something a little bit more there, but again, Vernina is in position to trade, so this one shouldn't get too wild. But Misfits, yeah, you bring up these different looks that they've shown on their setups, and I think it's showing a good idea of how to play around mid, because I feel like unless the Jet is offing here, the majority of the rounds, they're giving space in mid and relying on their anchors and their retakes to win out rounds, which punishes XSET when they do go for these slow rounds, because they're so often slow to act if they don't get that pick in mid.
No more.
Lethal one tap from Bob, but surely no time to actually make something significant happen on this round. So we're heading into the final one of the half.
Round in the half.
Frankly, I do think this is a crucial one for Misfits. 7-5, that is not a happy sight if you're the defending team switching to attack.
One enemy
No, it
remaining.
is not. A tough position for this squad to be in, and they'll take their first time out and add another voice on Indanimal to try and come up with a new idea here for XSET.
Yeah, XSET have had some very slow play. They've been methodical with it. They've been trying a lot of interesting stuff in mid, where they've been oftentimes breaking that alarm bot pretty late and then working up and actually trying to flank through spawn, which is quite unique. We'll see if, you know, perhaps they try and go for a big cheeky hit like that again. It did work early on in the half, but it seems like most of their successes honestly come from the B site. I think I'd like to see them finish over there on this last round. They've really had a tough time on A, and it was on B that they were even able to convert that eco round that it felt like they absolutely shouldn't have.
Yeah, and thus far, when these B hits have been coming through, it's always been like you're talking about, like the very last second, the very latest moments of rounds when they decide off of that mid control. If they go for something faster, maybe split through, there are options there. But again, they're setting up for this default. They're 2-3 to take space in mid. Expect another updraft from their Jet. Get a little peek towards Catwalk, dart close mid. This is the bog standard we have seen from XSET. Now we get to have that question of how do they convert in the mid round, as they're actually losing a bit of map control here. Edith will post on B main.
Yeah, silent open from XSET here, just walking into what looks like an A split. Not really any big ults to play with. They do have the Omen TP, that drone through main. Gonna get shot down by Vernina and now pushed off by the Paranoia. Katsumi trying to capitalize off of that Paranoia as well, but it's not gonna happen. KDO, so good on the anchoring so far. And so much to do now for one player in sight. As again, XSET, they're just slowing things down. TP for a bit of info into heaven is interesting.
Yeah.
But now this is KDO's time.
Yeah, she has support as well, already in the mix. Killjoy ultimate deployed, and no one has cleared KDO. XSET missed the mark on finding the space here. They have to fight back to try and get rid of this lockdown, but they found a kill with it too. Edith down, and now again this map is flipped. Sight is lost, but Heaven is taken, or at least attempted to be for the side of XSET, but Slam sticks around. Pops her ult, Nina is sticking. No one is in a position to get her off until Katsumi finds the last second spam through the smoke. Can she get more? A second is in. Bob there on the trade. And now it's just one as Rise finds a second angle to get involved in the conversation. It looked weird, it looked wild, but XSET closed out the late round with a nice crossfire.
Yeah, and with that round for XSET, they've got to be super happy about getting 5 here. This pistol round, of course, they always mean a lot, but in situations like these on Ascent, I think they mean even more, honestly. If they start rolling with that pistol round on defense, it's going to be so tough for Misfits. And also, I've got to ask, the AWP I felt was just so crucial for Edith on defense. I'm interested in seeing what they can actually do with the rifle now on attack, what the entering is going to look like.
We'll get an answer to that question very shortly, as for the side of Misfits, they're going to take control fast towards A main. Buddy B should be able to get that information. 3 players spotted on the counter knife. Will call for the rotation from Katsumi.
Yeah, and a pretty standard open here from Misfits. KO knife to get a bit of not utility, rather information, sorry, and A main, and they're gonna get 2 little tags off that onto the defensive KO and Omen. That Smokes player typically going to be towards the A site. And XSET, they are actually going to re-clear A main, as now Misfits have gone into mid, wanting to drone up Cat, bringing the spike there. So it looks like they want to finish with an A split here.
Oh, the Omen paranoia a little bit too early. So Misfits have a second kill flash, a second opportunity to take that space, but they don't want to commit it. Instead, late round pivoting back through B, but this alarm bot was never broken. So this play is very much noted, and Bob is here on time. She can crunch the players with her killjoy towards spawn. Pande's getting mollied off as well, and Katsumi ends up in a position where she's alone, untraded, spammed through mid by Edith. Bob there, another back, and now it lands to this retake. But XSET, I'd be looking to go quickly here. A player down situation and an Omen quickly wrapping them. It's a very hard spot to be in. Do they clear the player in main? Are they ready for these positions, or will Carly find value swing through Bunny be perfect on the crosshair placement? And now it just becomes a story of the players on site. Can they stall long enough for the reflank? How much value can KDO find towards spawn? She's waiting for an opportunity, sees it on the other side, but she's bumbling. Now that position known, and eventually makes her play. It's a 1 versus 1. Pande, low HP, the newest player on the squad. Her first sign team, her first opportunity to find something here, and she's got it. Headshot off the Ghost, a retake for XSET, and a 6th round for them.
Just barely going to get that defuse. 2.5 left on the clock. I like what Misfits did on that attack as well. I like that they left it open. It looked like they were going to go for that A split, but they actually just leave Nina, who took B main early, so they can pivot back, end up going B. It was a nice mid-round call from them, but the retake from XSET just so good there. A couple sheriffs going to be invested into this round from Misfits, but you have to expect that XSET are just going to take this one down with ease.
Yeah, that's gotta be the expectation, and that's a worrying position for Misfits. Finding this map would be massive for them to build towards that first series win against a Sign organization in over 6 months. Something they desperately want to be able to continue with, and this round not looking likely at all. The small investment of Sheriffs might clean them some damage, but Money will just take the opportunity to clean up.
Yeah, and going into this half, I'm really looking at Vernina to step up, and not just because her defensive side was kind of silent in regard to the kills, but I think historically on Misfits, especially during that Chamber meta, she was just so impactful. She was excellent at playing that role, and now with Chamber out of the meta, playing the other actual current meta Sentinels like Killjoy, you know, I'm looking to see if she can find a similar level of impact.
Yeah, when this team was hitting the peaks, it was with Fluorescent, it was with Vernina doing her best on that Chamber role, and finding that resurgence is really what they want. Because for this team, they've had that shot at the top. They had their moment. The one game changers, a lower bracket final, inches away from making, finding an opportunity to make it into the Game Changers champions. But now they've kind of been reset and expectations return to what it was before Fluorescent was on this team. And for the core of this squad, for the 3 players that have been here since that moment, getting back there is really what they value, I'm sure. Going out in this first round would be, I imagine, a heartbreak.
Yeah, absolutely. XSET still so many weapons saved. They're going to go for an aggressive play, try and get up close with the SMGs. Katsumi, that little dash updraft into the one-way. Going to try and lock down A main with the SMG. Get some valuable info for the team by just controlling this space on the map.
So to a hold for aggression, but nothing will come. Spike leaning towards the B side of the map, so maybe the idea to split here late, but they haven't applied pressure in mid, so they don't know that there's no alarm bot there. That bit of the map is still very much a mystery, which means it'll likely have to end in just a hard hit towards one of these sites.
Yeah, Katsumi ended up retreating back into the A site, setting up with a bit of a crossfire. Those grass players, actually 3 players on A, and now back generator, Rise with the Sheriff. We'll see if these weak weapons can make something happen against the rifles, and they are going to. Edith was in so deep onto the site, but the timing was just off with the rest of that Misfits push. And what could end up being a nail in the coffin early on in this half, as they're actually going down to the
30
save
seconds left.
bonus. All of those weapons recovered as well. The economy going to spiral out of control surely here.
Perfect.
Unless Carly can make some absolute magic happen in this 1v4, at least deal some damage. Honestly, be impactful, but no, not against a setup like that.
What a heartbreaker for Misfits. And the mid-round, it seems like they kind of bumbled what map control they had. They pressured early towards mid, put a dart in that direction, applied a little pressure towards B main as well, but they never actually went and checked and cleared the space to stop information from being gained in mid, which meant they were just hitting into this 3-stack. The side of Exit knew that that setup was coming, and their trading just not quite up to snuff. That is a round that can lose you a game on a map like Ascent.
Yeah, absolutely. And heading into this round now, a little bit of that extra bonus money starting to pile up for the side of Misfits, so they can at least bring some sheriffs into this one, see if they can make something happen, get those 1-taps potentially, but it's gonna be really tough, and especially in this range against the operator, Katsumi. A nice pick to open things up, and gonna retreat to a more passive position. You know, I feel like we haven't talked about Katsumi too much. The role swap that she's actually made onto this team was always the controller player for C9, but you could always see the mechanical prowess even on that role. And now on Exit, taking point, playing Jet constantly for them, switching to the duelist role, and she's done a good job, but also just putting herself in a position to just have such a more significant role with the fragging for this new squad.
Yeah, and from what I've seen of this Exit squad thus far, she hasn't always been a superstar, someone who's like having crazy pop-off games, but what she delivers is just consistency, willing to create space for her team and set up her support players to frag, because the support line that she has is insane. Bob was the best player in North American Game Changers last year, and Bunnybeat was pretty damn close as well when they were in the position of the duelist for this squad, so just the amount of fragging power they have here is ridiculous.
Misfits stacking up outside of B here. All 5 of them. We'll see if a rotate ends up coming in quickly from Exit. They've got control of A main on the opposite side. And that's Bunnybeat peeking down mid, so they're gaining valuable information here. And Misfits, 1:10 on the clock. They don't really have control of anything. They haven't actually pushed into B main, and they're just about to start working into mid now.
And so much info for Bunnybeat. It's just a 1-for-1 trade, but I believe 3 players were spotted. This will call for rotations fast towards the A site, and A main is still under the control of Katsumi. Guys here though, could be in trouble. Low HP, a paranoid. Trade is back from Edith. They don't elect to go towards main. Instead, walking this towards heaven, trying to find a gap for Edith to capitalize off of Panda, making so much noise on this rotation. Another 1-for-1 exchange. 2 versus 2, but the reload is heard. And Bob is here. The
30
Odin
seconds
lurks
left.
on the other side. An operator. There! It's a lineup for Katsumi. The collateral and the round for XSET.
Such a nice attempt from Misfits as well. They were trying to slow things down. Edith was doing such a good job on the entry, just taking matters into their own hands, trying to claw the round back for Misfits. But Katsumi
Seconds left.
just brutalizes them with that
Yeah.
lineup shot at the end.
And again, I mean, the default for Misfits is not gaining them enough map control. They're not breaking the alarm button mid. They're not pressuring that space enough. XSET has free range to rotate towards the heavier side in the late rounds and have these stacks against executes. Misfits, sure, they're slowing things down. Sure, they're using more of that time, but they're not denying XSET the information they need to win on the attacking side of Ascent.
Yeah, things are beginning to spiral out of control for them. Taking this time out, trying to regroup. And everything you just mentioned is exactly what I hope that is being addressed by their coach. It's what they're going to try and work on here. Even on that last round, all stacked up at B main, but unable to take significant control of it. We'll have to see the adjustments that they make here, but I do hope it is that early round map control that they try and take.
I wouldn't hate to see them put a bit of a bigger investment into this one. You got Bladestorm, you got 5 ultimates to work with. Surely this timeout has cooked up some kind of plan to utilize those tools.
Yeah, absolutely. This is your Valorant guaranteed 1 free round. You stock up all your ult orbs and you should get 1 free round a half. It might not be this one, of course, because they are on the sheriffs, but they are going to commit the ults. Lockdown to take the site, Edith with the Bladestorm. They've still got a few in the tank. They want to save them for the next round or use them in this post plan as well. And no players going down. This is just going to be a straight up 5-on-5 retake, and Nina trying to lock down B main.
These ults are good, but XSET have quite a few of their own. Null Command and the KJ ultimate to make this one happen. Isolate on the flank, finds Vernina on a rough timing. With that Null Command popped, Misfits don't even have the Bladestorm to work with. They've tried to set up in a bit of a crossfire on the site, but XSET are taking their time. They're clearing methodically into this one. 2 players paranoid. Katsumi coming in with the Bladestorm finds one, and it's just the right click into the back. Line's not quite connecting on the spam, but the trades are there, and despite the ults, despite the attempt, it's not enough for Misfits.
Yeah, I respect the attempt from Misfits. You know, they need to get something on the board using the ults on this round with just the Bladestorm, the Sheriffs, and it does get them into the site. I do respect the attempt. On the opposite side, XSET retaking in that situation, Panday had the lockdown and they just didn't even use it on that retake with all the map control. That's just how confident they were that they were going to take the site in that 5v4.
This round is now the pivotal one for Misfits. You lose here, your economy is shattered, your ult economy is falling to pieces, and the game might just be over. They again head back to B. Fast execute in. Bob will reply with an ultimate, and Bunny B will swing through the smoke, but down they go. Slandy only the one to be traded through, and she can be revived in this one, so it's a great position in the post plant already for Misfits still. Panday in the backlines. What can she get done? A double more? Maybe, but not to be, as Edith comes through for the trade still. This is a position that is winnable. It's Bob. Katsumi left alive. This is that Cloud9 duo. Champions in Game Changers so many times before, but Marina is there to take down one, and it will only be Bob. Time starts to tick. She's worried about this reflank. Wants to isolate the duel onto site instead. An opportunity against Vernina, but not to be gifted over just yet. A timing on the dart will work against her, and Misfits will finally find their way onto the board in the second half.
Yeah, and there it is, just running it back 2 rounds in a row, using the ults to burst into the site. Didn't work with the Sheriffs, but with the rifles in hand, it will that time. And luckily for them too, Slandy, the only player going down, had the KO ult pop for that res, able to lock that one up, and still retaining Carly's ult as well. They have the Hunter's Fury if they want to do another exec off it.
Is this a little attempted a fight for mid? Paranoia, Flash as well. Katsumi will fight forwards. No one affected by the utility there. KDO stuck in a corner, but Bunny B down at the hands of Nina. Still Bob and Katsumi are there for a little bit more, and it's a positive exchange for XSET.
Yeah, they fully expected some of those Misfits players to be over at B again. They have been favoring that side, stacking up so many there, so they go for that shark attack play. Now they have an inkling that Katsumi is going to be in that corner. Oh no, the timing on the drone from Katsumi is so good. Misfits are just not prepared to deal with that at all. Taking matters into her own hands, that is such a nice swing from Katsumi, just shutting down this round, leaving Slandy on their lonesome. 1 versus 3, just an impossible situation damn near.
And Misfits are near bankruptcy. 0 credits in the wallet for Slandy. She wants to try and hold on to this weapon, but 35 seconds to kill. And XSET now will have so many opportunities to close this game out.
Yes, Slandy biding time, hoping that one of these XSET players just gets antsy, shows a lack of discipline, and might have just peeked into her, but it's not going to happen.
10 seconds left.
Time is going to run out on the clock. XSET just not giving an inch, going to get to match point here.
XSET, they might be down in this lower bracket, but they are still a team to watch. They are looking strong in this one, and even insult to injury. Bob onto Slandy, and what is the money looking like at this point? Misfits will be able to cobble together mostly rifles for this squad. I think everyone but Edith will have something to work with. Hopefully they'll be able to drop them over a weapon. Again, now it's just about taking it 1 round at a time. How close to this comeback can you get?
And again, it looked like Misfits wanted to stack up towards B for what feels like 1,000,000 rounds in a row, but they're not going to do it. A few players rotating to the top of Cat. Going to try and maybe work up mid. They're going to smoke Cat off, recon close, make sure that maybe Katsumi wasn't taking that fight with the operator in the tight angle on mid. They're going to try and take some space. This is something that we haven't really seen from them on previous rounds, and it might be too little too late.
Drone tag. The Jet, but yeah, they're not revealed. Edith maybe a timing to find in this corner, but now 2 XSET players standing on the other side. Bob walks into the smoke and falls. No trade is available for that one. It's just a free opening for Misfits to play with, but Edith wants more. Through the smoke, Flash is in, Bunny B is down, and out to split towards B. Katsumi the only one to hold. Operator on the line in main finds one, and that's the spike on the floor in main. She'll recover a rifle as well. How long can she hold on to this one? Suppressed and blinded off the line. Nina wants to get going into this, wants to recover that spike, but teammates are rotating over. XSET have control of this one. Katsumi damage, Panda a kill, Cat another, and no one else from Misfits in position to help. This is falling to pieces. KDO a solo swing, a solo play, but the attempt might be enough. 1 versus 2, and Panda's got it. XSET 13-8, clutch up the game and take map number 1 versus Misfits.
Oh, that is just a brutal way to finish that map off, Mimi. An absolutely brutal way. It looked like after several rounds in a row, Misfits finally doing what they frankly needed to do earlier in the half. They took control of the map, they had an effective B split, but one small error, they just left the spike in main alone, and it all falls apart. Hopefully they can mentally recover from that loss on the first map heading into the second. It kind of felt like they were running out of ideas on that attack half. Of course, that wasn't their map pick. So I'm hoping that we're going to see more ideas on how to approach the next map coming up when it comes to their attack. But man, XSET really started to heat up. They were looking good.
Yeah, they really were. The coordination of that team is looking on point, even for a squad that is freshly coming together for this Game Changers. And on top of that, the individuals looking incredible. Still, for Misfits, they are not out of this one yet. We have Split coming up, but first, a quick break in the analyst desk to break things down right on the other side.
Red Bull gives you wings.